Hi book lovers, this is Jenny with Juliababyjen's reading room, and this is my first ever attempt at trying a book review on my vlog. So we'll see how this goes. I have no idea if it'll work, but we will try it. So here we go. Those of you who normally watch my videos may have noticed the change in location. Usually I'm sitting in my living room, usually on the floor, which is very comfortable for me. But I've been kicked out of the living room today. I thought I was going to have a living room all day, but then my husband decided that he wanted to be in the living room instead of in here on his computer, which is weird for him, but whatever. I am trying to do it in my bedroom. The lighting is not the best, but oh well. Life goes on. We'll get it done. So today I am going to be reviewing Plague by Michael Grant. This is the fourth book in the Gone series. I love the Gone series a lot. It's very addictive. If you've never read it, it's really good and it's very addictive. And there are 6 books, so be prepared. It is a dystopian, a YA dystopian, and they're all pretty big books. This one is, I think it's almost 500 pages. This is a paperback copy, and it's 492 pages, so pretty long. It's not as long as the second book, Hunger. That thing was huge. But the reading goes really fast. You can't put it down. It's insanely crazy. I can't even really describe it to you. It's very different. It's compared to Stephen King a lot in the weirdness, I think, of it, and the ruthlessness of it. And it's kind of a Lord of the Flies type of an experience, because the basic premise of the series is this little town on the coast in California. One day they are under this huge wall dome type thing, and anybody over the age of 15 just vanishes. So all that's there is left in this area. And it's not just the town, it's surrounding the town too. But anything that's left, it's all anybody that's 15 and under, if I'm remembering it right. I can't remember if it's, oh, well, it's around 15. Anyway, so it's a bunch of kids, and they are trying to survive in society. They live in this place for months, and they can't figure it out. It's kind of a sci-fi thing. They're not sure what caused it. They start to get to figure that out as the series gets going. If you haven't read the first 3 books in the series, I would say stop watching this video now, unless you want spoilers, because there's no way to talk about this book without giving away spoilers that happened before. But I will not give away any spoilers, or try not to give away spoilers that happen in Plague itself. So in this particular one, besides everything else they have to worry about, which they have a lot to worry about, they're running low on food and water. They have no electricity. There's all these crazy people. They're worried about keeping Drake and Brittany under lock and key, which is really weird. And then just Sam and Astrid are having major relationship problems, which is to be expected after everything that's happened. I'm amazed they're even resembling a couple at all at this point. And this one, they have these killer bug things, which is just disgusting. I'm sorry, but some of the imagery in this one made me want to throw up. It was really gross. If I didn't already love this series, I don't think I would have continued reading it, really, because bugs are just not my thing. They are an eerie bug that those flying snake things that happen in the beginning of the series, when the green goo sticks on you, these bugs grow inside you and they hatch out of you. So, and it numbs you so you can't feel it, but you can see bug mouths coming out of your body, and it takes a while for them to hatch, and it's just disgusting. Not a lovely thing at all. So they're dealing with that, and then these bugs, when they come out, they're kind of like wasps slash cockroaches kind of a bug. They're really hard to kill, and they are immune to Sam's light, which is not good. And they grow really, really fast. So within like hours, they're the size of a car. So yeah, and there's a lot of them. So that's the number one thing they're worried about, although it takes a while before they get to the point where they have a big bug problem, but it starts out small. The other issue they're having that is, I honestly thought worse, just as gross, but just really awful, is this horrible disease, which is why it's called plague, I'm sure. This horrible disease they get. They've all gone through the flu and the last one. Well, this other disease comes through, and Lana can't heal it. And they feel like they have the flu, but then they start burning up really bad, like really high fevers. 106 degrees is what it said in the book. And they cough and cough, and they can't stop coughing. They basically cough their own lungs out and then die. So yeah, that's just not very good either. So those are the two main issues they're dealing with in this book, besides the fact that Sam has taken Deka and Jack and Taylor on a mission to this other lake to find water. So he's not even in town during most of the story. So that's mainly what's going on in this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give a rundown on all the characters that I thought were important to the story. I've done this in the past reviews, and it works really well because there's so many characters, and I think the characters are the most important part of this series. Sam is our main character in most of the books, one of the big main characters. And in this one, I already said he's not in town for much of it. He and Astrid have this fight, and then Albert wants him to go on this expedition to try to find water, and he doesn't want to tell anybody because it's Albert. You know how he is. He wants to control everything so he can be on profit and all that of it. So Sam agrees to go mainly because he and Astrid have had this fight, and he just wants to get away from town for a while. So he does tell her that he's leaving, just because he feels like he can't leave without telling her. But he takes Deka and Jack and Taylor with him. Deka is obvious. She's one of his closest friends. Taylor, he needs someone that can communicate back and forth between town and him. And she's either she or Brianna are the best to do it. And I think Albert wanted Brianna to stay in town for some reason. I can't remember what, because he didn't really want Taylor because she has a crush on him. And then Jack, they decide to take Jack because he's so smart. They figured he might be, helpful if they need to figure anything out tech-wise or anything like that. So he's gone off, and he's mainly at this point in the place where he really wants to give up complete control of any leadership responsibility at all, which he's kind of had this feeling for a few books, but at this point, he feels like he can safely walk away and let everybody else take over. And he really is looking for an escape. So he does find the lake, and they actually find some great things while they're out looking. And so he actually can kind of start to picture a new life in the face for himself and Astrid and maybe some of his friends. So that's his main focus, although along the way he has to deal with some bug thing scenarios, and he's a hero in this one a lot, like the other books. Astrid has quickly become one of my least favorite characters, and I was hoping that I might like her better in this one, and I didn't. Well, I liked her a little better than the last one, but yeah, she's losing it big time. She's completely losing it. This entire book, she's not in it a lot, but her central struggle is her and little Pete. She's contemplating murdering him through most of the story because he controls the phase, and she's hoping that if he dies, the phase dies, and the barrier will come up and they'll be free. So, but of course she doesn't feel good about this. It's her little brother, so she is trying to constantly talk herself out of it, obviously. So she's really messed up in this one, and not a lot of fun to read about. And then we have little Pete. He's the little kid, autistic kid that's Aster's little brother, and he is suffering from the flu. He doesn't have the same plague flu that's going around. He's not coughing that badly, but he is suffering. It's like an extreme form of flu. So he's mostly in bed, and it does actually give some point of view chapters of what he has seen in his head, and it's pretty messed up. But he's basically fighting with getting away from his world. He doesn't, with us as a kid, he doesn't want any extra sensory input, and he's aware of his sister, and he's aware of the darkness calling him, and he's aware of some of the things that are happening in the phase. He's not really aware of the bugs, but he's aware of things that are going around him, and he wants it all just to go away. He just wants to live in his own little bubble, and of course he's suffering because he's sick. So it does give a little bit of insight in him, and actually what happens to him at the end is very big, and it's probably going to be a big, huge thing in the next book, I'm sure. And then let's talk about Kane and Diana and Pepper and Bug, who are out on that island. Diana has pretty much given Kane an ultimatum. She loves living in this mansion, just them. She doesn't really like living with Pepper or Bug, but she prefers living there than what they lived before, and she wants to turn over a new leaf and try to be good and change her ways. And to do that, she wants Kane to change his ways too. So she kind of gives him an ultimatum that, she'll have sex with him and be his true girlfriend if he will stop being such a jerk, I guess. Stop trying to control the world and that kind of thing. So that's kind of their central plot there. I'm not going to tell you what he decides or what happens there, but it's a big, huge deal for the next book, definitely. And then Bug, he just pops in and out occasionally. There isn't very much with Bug. Pepper is suffering immensely. She, when she fell on the rock, she broke her legs, basically shattered her legs, and they don't have any way to do anything for her, and they're on this island. So Diana did try to, make some splints and try to bind them up as best she could, but obviously she probably needs surgery. And they can't do anything about it. So she just pretty much lives in a bathroom because she can't walk or move, so she has a way to get to the toilet. And Diana brings her food and comes in and cleans her up occasionally. That's one of her things she's trying to do, to turn over a new leaf. But yeah, Pepper's pretty miserable and in pain, and then we have the weirdness of Drake / Brittany. Well, I don't know if I should tell you this or not. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but it happens pretty early in the story. Drake gets out. I mean, we all knew that was going to happen anyway, didn't we? And it's honestly not anybody's fault. Orc falls through the floor, and so he gets out. And he's switching back and forth between him and Brittany. Well, Brittany is trying to thwart his plans, so he gets Jamal, actually, who was helping Albert, who was there when Orc fell to the floor. Drake convinces Jamal to serve him, or he will kill him. He whips him a few times to scare him, and so whenever Brittany comes around, Jamal ties her up so she can't do anything. But Drake basically goes to the darkness when he realizes that everybody who wants to punish is not even in town. Sam and Dacre and Jack aren't in town, and Kane's not in town either. And he doesn't really want to punish Albert because he could use Albert. He does want to punish Brianna, but he can't find her, obviously. So he goes to try to get to the darkness to do what he can to get back to his badass self. And Brittany kind of gets sucked along with it. We have Quinn, who is one of the most interesting characters, I think, just because all the changes he goes through in the series. He's just very interesting to me. But he and his fisherman buddies are camping up north on a beach away from town. They get back into town with their fish, and I think it's Dara, whoever's working in the hospital, figures out what's going on with this flu, and she runs and warns them not to come in town so they don't get sick, because they are obviously crucial to the town to keep it fed. So they get in their boats and they go away and they're camping on the beach. But he does become very important later in the story. I always think that's so interesting that Quinn, of all the characters, seems to be the one that, when things turn around, that's crucial to the plot, which I think is interesting. Then we have Adelio, who is trying to rule the town and failing massively because what can he do about this plague? There's nothing to do. They don't have a way to wash their hands. They don't have enough water to even drink. They don't have a way to, fight it at all. They were, counting on Lana to cure everything, and she can't cure this. So he's issued a quarantine in the town. That's basically all he can do, to try to keep people isolated from each other so not everybody gets sick. But they're, of course, getting sick, and there's not much he can do there. And then, unfortunately, by halfway through the book, he gets sick. And I was so worried. I'm like, no, he's one of the few good characters, truly good characters, who really tries to do the best he can. I didn't want him to die, but I'm not going to tell you what happens with him. But so he's crucial in the first part of the story on getting things set up, but then he's sick for a good chunk of it and really is out of commission. Then we have Albert, who I think is definitely the smartest person in Phase, and I don't know if I like him the least, but I don't like him very much anymore. He's become so... I'm sure he's a symbol for the greedy American. I'm sure that's what he's a symbol of. But in this one, he starts off pretty much the same way. I mean, it is good that he's organized and he is giving what the Phase really needs. I mean, I think it's really cool that he's doing that, but he's not doing it for the Phase. He's doing it for his own profit, which I guess that's the way the world works. I mean, I can't think of many situations where it doesn't work that way. So I guess it's realistic in that way. But then about halfway through the story, something happens to him, and I really felt sorry for him. And I don't know, they didn't have a clear-cut ending for him at the end of it. So I don't know what he's going to be like in the next story. Well, Deka. Deka is one of my favorite characters. She is really, really cool. I really, really like her. She's a really good friend to Sam, and she has pretty much everybody's best interests at heart. She is, I think, one of the bravest, honestly, there, besides Sam. And, yeah, she had a really bad time of it in this one. I was so worried, but... Okay, I'm going to give away a little spoiler. She does not die. So, when something happens in the middle of it and you're going to be really worried about Deka, she doesn't die. But it's not a happy thing either. So, I felt really bad for her, but she, through all that, was still trying to save everybody and trying to save Sam, and that was just awesome, I think. Brianna is pretty much the only freak left in town during all this disaster, so she's their big defense. So she actually does really well in this one. I was really impressed with her. Sometimes she doesn't use her brain very much and just kind of jumps into things. In this case, she really kind of had to jump into things because there's no one else to do it. And she really did the best she could with what she had. I was really kind of impressed with her in this one. So we'll see how that plays out later, but yay, Brianna. Way to go. Jack, I really liked in this one, too. He has really come a long way. He just needed to get away from Kane. That's all it was. He needed to get out away from that bully and be with someone who really respects him for what he can do. And Sam can do that. And so he's working with Sam really closely in this one, and he actually comes through quite a bit. So, yay, Jack. He did really good in this one. I was really impressed with him. And then there's Taylor. I used to really like Taylor. I don't know what happened, but she starts off the book after Sam and Astrid had this fight. Sam gets drunk and ends up on the beach, and she starts out by kind of making a move on him, and he's drunk and isn't very smart about it. And then she, with her loud mouth, has to tell everybody in town what happened. So I didn't really appreciate that. I thought that was kind of... I mean, if you care for someone, okay, maybe you might try to make a move, but then why would you go tell everybody about it? I mean, really, you're just gonna make their life a whole really hard. I mean, why are they gonna be with you? Maybe she's just too immature. I don't know, but that was weird. And then she started going with Sam to the lake, and they encountered these bugs, and she freaked. And she like disappears for a whole big chunk of the book. We don't know what she's doing. And then we have Orc. Orc is pretty torn up in this one. He feels really guilty about Drake getting loose. And he's a simple guy, and all he can think of is that he's disappointed Sam, and you know, Sam's really not going to be happy with him. Well, he kind of goes on a bender, which is pretty normal for him, but in the middle of it, he accidentally hits a little kid that's sick and coughing all over him and kills him. Now, the kid was probably dying anyway because it had the really bad plague, but, you know, it's pretty awful, and he feels really bad then, and gets even worse and realizes he's going to get kicked out of the town. And so yeah, he's pretty much gone most of the novel on his bender, and people are avoiding him. So he would have been a great defense if Drake, but that's why Brianna's holding all her own. And Howard really isn't in a very big chunk of this one either. He is looking for Orc basically, and yeah, no one's very cohesive in this one. Everybody's off doing their own thing while the town is falling apart. It's kind of strange, but yeah, Howard isn't around very much, which isn't that surprising. He's not really going to jump in and save people. That's not his personality at all. He's pretty much looking for Orc to kind of keep his position going. And then we have a new character in this one, Toto, who is also a freak. Sam finds, and his little group find him when they're out looking for the lake, in part of, I can't remember where exactly they find him, but it's in some kind of a facility where scientists were studying him and some other kid, because they were developing their abilities already. So scientists were studying them under secret. And he has the ability to tell if you're lying or not, which comes in very helpful for Sam later. So he's kind of funny. He's been living on his own this entire time, and he's a little bit loopy. But every time Sam or any of them are talking, he has to butt in all the time. Not true. He believes what he's saying, kind of thing. It's kind of funny. I really like the addition of Toto. Last but not least, we have my two favorite characters who have become my favorites. Well, one of them was already my favorite, Lana. I love Lana. She's your total kick butt girl, and I like that. And she really, she's troubled. She's dealing with lots of things, but you know, she's just awesome. I really like her. She's really depressed in this one, like she is in all of them, and you know, isolated, and only comes out to basically heal people, or if she's hungry or something like that. But meanwhile, Sanskrit, who has become my other favorite character, he is so funny, has developed a crush on Lana. And so the first half of the book, he's trying to impress her, and he's not intimidated by her at all, which is just so funny, their conversations, because she's basically telling him, drop dead and get out of my face. And he's basically, you know, oh, you know, I like you, you know, it's no big deal, you know, I'll just hang out with you. So it's so funny. It's really good. It was the best scenes of the book, and it kind of disappears towards the middle for a little while because they're dealing with all that crap, and at the end it comes back. So I really like those characters, and I can't wait to see what happens with them. So that's it for all the main characters that I can think of. There's a few more bit characters, but they're not really worth mentioning really in this review. So that's pretty much all the characters, and pretty much gave you the plot points. I kind of told you what I thought about it, but just wrap up what I think about it. I loved it, obviously. I love the series. It was really, really gross. I mean, really gross parts of it. Like I said, if I hadn't already loved this series, it would have really turned me off. But, you know, I've also read Stephen King and, you know, and Dean Koontz and some other novels that are pretty out there, and that usually doesn't bother me that much. Grossness really doesn't bother me either. Just those bug things. Oh, just imagining that made me just want to puke. But other than that, it was really good. I was satisfied with the ending. I thought everything wrapped up well, but left us enough for the next book and the next two books, and I can't wait to see how this wraps up. I have no idea what's going to happen next, which is one of the things I love about this series. You really don't know who's going to live, who's going to die, who's going to go crazy, who's going to end up with who, you know, what's going to happen, what's going to come out of left field. And there's a lot that ended in this book that really intrigues me for the next one, which is Fear, and I will, I'm sure, be reading that soon. So final star rating was 4.5. I think I've given them all 4.5 rating. So that's it for this review. Go ahead and comment. Let me know what you think. If you thought this worked for you or not. And if I liked it, I will try this again. And I'm sure I'll be making some more videos soon. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.